built on a solid name. Not just numbers, not just code. It is real value on a brand new road. A bridge from history into today. Ownership clear every step of the way. This is more than watching from the side. This is your moment. Step inside. We stand with global gold coin. Feel the rise. Real world assets under open skies. Education first. Freedom in the frame. We carry the weight. We carry the name. Gold rights to freedom. Gold rights to freedom. Open the door, take your place, create your wallet, join the space. They hand you 100 just to begin, a gift of belief, a welcome in. Not hype, not noise, something real, a system built so everyone can feel. From metal to token, value made clear, a future you can actually steer. This is access, this is trust, from the ground up, built for us. We stand with global gold coin, feel the rise. Real world assets under open skies. Create your wallet, step inside. $100 gift right by your side. Gold rights to freedom. Gold rights to freedom. This is how movements are born, with open hands, not closed doors. From learning first to standing tall. This is the call we all felt call. We stand with global gold coin. Hear it roar from the vault to the future. We open the door. Create your wallet, let the spark begin. $100 gift, let the journey win. Gold rights to freedom. Gold rights to freedom. From real value to a brand new lane, we take the gold and break the chains.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. First, I want to start off with letting you know we are not financial advisors. This information is for educational purposes only. As everybody can see on the screen, we still have the March Madness multiplier, 100 GGC coins. Up to 400 is two times the multiplier. 500 to 900 is 3 times the multiplier. 1,000 to 4,900 is 7 times the multiplier. 5,000 to 9,900 is 10 times the multiplier. And 10,000 and up is 12 times the multiplier. As we sent out today, we have Tony Drexel and Gary Cramer that are going to speak tonight about the GGC due diligence of assets. Tony and Gary, are y'all on?
Yep, I'm here, Don.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
We're right here as well. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Gary. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you so you can. All right. Thank you.
I'll just say a few words, Tony, first. First of all, glad to be here to help you guys understand. There has been, a bit of time and energy put into the project due diligence wise, acquiring assets. There's a number of things that we've come on board to kind of help the project as it had launched prior to us coming on board. And so now we took a deeper look at it and wanted to be able to be of some support and help in helping guide the company on another track, if you will, to get eventually this on chain. But there was work and legwork that needed to be done to be sorted out, and that's been done. But I'll let Tony share a little bit about some of his knowledge about taking the time to background check some of this stuff, and also him being able to review the facts of some of the assets that have been contracted to the corporation, and then to be able to work towards allocating them into a model that is adding value to the token in this company. So there is work being done every day, and there's more coming, but we'll just talk about one specific subject. I know there were some questions about one specifically, and that was an asset of $1 billion sitting in an asset with an additional 200 million also in assets. And so I'll let Tony cover a little bit of that.
Thank you very much, Gary. And Don, thanks so much for having us here tonight. So we were hired by the board members of GGMC and GGC December 15th. So March 15th will be 3 months that we've been completing due diligence for the companies. And due diligence meaning that we have to vet out every claim that's being made. We have to confirm that the ownership of the company has a solid foundation, that the filings with the regulatory agencies is being completed, that the actual backing of real world assets is there and verifiable. And so this has been quite the process. I've never, in 30 years of doing due diligence, I've never seen a company grow this fast. The company had just launched a month before they hired us, so pretty excited to see this amazing growth of the company. And so one of the most important aspects of the due diligence that we have been working very closely with Gary on is the custodial records and the appraisals and the corporate filings and the executed agreements as it relates to having real world assets. We went and did a physical inventory. So this custodial identity piece is super important for all of you, validating that there is truly an asset-backed coin here. So this is what's known as a Class 3 subterranean vault facility, an actual physical vault, and it's a nationally recognized depository with 40 years of continuous operation. So they're clearly a qualified company to hold assets. And while the company's headquartered in Las Vegas, the vault operations where we completed the audit is in San Diego. The facility's president has a 40-year track record, and the asset owner has maintained a 12-year relationship with the custodian. What I mean by that, just to be clear, is that our client, who has a very high net worth, maintains his physical inventory in a vault. So if you can imagine 3 rooms full of coins and collectibles, and going through 3 vaults that are many feet high stacked, and having to do a physical inventory of every coin, every gold, silver, and collectible item, and confirming the validated value of them, and then making sure that we are contractually set up to where GGMC and GGC, 2 different entities, GGMC being the parent company, GGC being the operating business, that we have agreements wherein the appraised value of these assets that have been pledged on behalf of GGMC through this high net worth individual, and him pledging those actual assets. So an independent appraiser was with nationally recognized numismatic authentication firm. I'm laughing because we all stumble with that word. Lead appraiser, one of the original creators of the PCGS grading standard. He's been evaluating this specific type of collection since 2008, so 16 years. There was a random sampling that was done, and that's important to note that the amount that was pledged on behalf of GGMC was only 1/3 of the total value. It's actually even more in this vault than what's been pledged. So the valuations were cross-referenced and published with price guides, and we have a formal written report in our data room. Now, Some of you have asked if you can see this material. Well, I want to just preface to say if you sign a non-disclosure agreement directly with our firm, we are glad to do a Zoom with individual parties and show them the work that we've done. We're not publishing it publicly. You got to recognize that we're not giving away the names of the people. We have non-disclosures on that. And what we've also found is, unfortunately, as big as this organization is, pushing, hundreds of thousands of people, that even non-disclosures unfortunately have been passed by, meaning like someone will sign a non-disclosure and still share the information with somebody else without authorizing. And we know that because we get notified anytime someone goes into our data rooms. And so please understand, if you'd like your own personal meeting, what you'll need to do is contact the person on your team that brought you to this meeting, and then that will ultimately make its way up to me. And then we will set up a meeting for you with one of my staff members to share the material with you one-on-one. So if we want to go to the next slide there. So there are three entities that we have done the due diligence on. So we have the parent company, that's Global Gold Mining Corp. That's a corporation. It's in Nevada. We worked with the board of directors, the officers, and the advisory board members. We've held board meetings, and we've ensured that the proper filings have been completed, that board meetings are being recorded, and that they are on record. The team is literally doing meetings with us every week or so, and that's not normal. Normally you'd have a board meeting every quarter, but we're meeting every week, and we go through the board's agenda, what items need to be discussed, what's the next most important thing for the company to knock out, and then those meeting minutes are then recorded so that as we're making decisions to help you and the company grow, we're doing that on an ongoing basis. The Coin LLC, that's the Global Gold Coin LLC, is a Florida limited liability company. We have to do separate meetings for those two companies. They are essentially managed by the same group of people. So you have a 5-member board of directors, you have 3 officers, and then there are an advisory board group as well. And then I help them lead those meetings. I give them advice as to what the next steps are, what to vote on, what's the next most important due diligence item that we're dealing with. And there's obviously real world asset issues that we're dealing with. We want to make sure that the company's assets are in alignment with what the value of all the coins are. So that's an ongoing thing. We're constantly looking for new assets to back up as you're continuing to grow this company. You're outpacing. We got to make sure that we can keep up on the value of the assets. We also want to make sure that the company gets on chain and it has the trading ability. So all of these tools that you need, including an academy and a training platform, all of that's in process. And, for considering that we're 10 weeks in to our engagement here, a lot has been done, but the company continues to grow. I keep using this analogy. It's like an aircraft carrier that's being built, but it's already left the port where it was being built. So we're building this aircraft carrier as we go. And because it's an aircraft carrier, it takes a minute to turn it around every time we have to make an adjustment or a change. So anyway, and then we also have the asset owning entity. It's a Delaware LLC, and coordinating between those 3 to make sure the contracts are in alignment, that there's payments being made, there's consideration for putting up assets. I mean, when a high net worth individual through his limited liability company is putting up over $1 billion in assets, there are costs related to that. There's legal costs, there's accounting costs, there's auditing costs and fees. And so we've had to help GGMC raise capital, like traditional capital, not the sale of coins, but independent of coin transactions. More importantly, traditional capital. So treat it like any other startup that we've been doing for 30 years. There are just things that need to be done and costs that are involved in putting this all together. Note that a full KYC and AML, so that's a know your customer package, was compiled for the principals. Know that we've done background checks on 60 of the leaders within this company. We continue to run background checks all the time. When we run into any kind of challenges, we know how to work through that. And when we've seen people that are creating their own websites or creating anything at all that's not in alignment with the company's goals and objectives, we're handling that on a case-by-case basis. And then go ahead. If you want to go to page 4, that's fine. Yep. So there are 2 designated vaults in what's known as a Class 3 subterranean deposit. It's in San Diego. Gary actually went there in person for a 3-day audit. So for him to go down there and go through the process of having to be inside a physical vault, that's something that he did. as a favor to everybody else here so that he could physically see the vault and the audit that was being completed and the appraisal that was ultimately written, confirming the value of the coins. Each vault, by the way, is separately numbered, inventoried, and we have all of that information inside our data room to confirm that it's been reviewed. The total vault is around 2.4 billion in assets, 2,200 boxes across 2 vault units. The pledge to GGMC was put in writing for up to $1 billion via an executed asset leverage agreement. That agreement's been executed. And now what we're doing, and we're doing this on a continual, literal daily basis, is we are continuing to monitor and acquire more assets for the company on a daily basis. And what that means is when someone sends us a valuable asset that we can get leveraged, then we do the documentation, the due diligence, and then confirm it. Right now, we're right around 1.2 billion of this. The first billion was just the vaults that we're talking about. Now we're continuing to add more assets on a continual basis. Random sampling was the methodology that was used because there's no other way to get that done in a matter of 3 days. The coins were graded against MSPR. Again, numismatic scale, values cross-referenced, and published guides, individual line item appraisals per box were completed. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So the legal control of the pledged assets. So the way this works is that we had to work with the principal and his limited liability company. He built this personal fund through 3 decades. And he went ahead and put together a 5-year executed participation, for the ampersand asset leverage agreement. The revenue split, we put together a revenue split, so there's a 60-40 agreement between the parties. And we have what's called a safekeeping receipt, an SKR in place. That SKR has to be continually updated, which means we have to go back and do continual audits of the assets, and we have to pay fees for those SKRs. And then confirm the ownership is still in place to ensure that the appraised value is continual for the next few years. I'm going to go to the next slide if you like. Are you still there? Dawn?
Yes, hold on, we had an issue. That's all the slides that we had.
Oh, okay, great. Good. So Dawn, would you like to
That's all
ask
that
me any questions with your team here?
I want to say thank y'all for coming on and doing this because we have had a lot of questions regarding the due diligence and what it takes. And we tried to explain them that it is a lot of process and there's a lot to it. So this was excellent for everyone to be able to see what you're doing. And now hopefully they can all understand why it takes a while. It just doesn't happen overnight. That it's a lot of legwork, and we appreciate all your time and putting into this so you can get, I apologize. So everybody can get an idea of what y'all are working on and working with and what we all have to look forward to. So I appreciate it.
And please understand, this team is 20 people strong working on this for us, with us. And we have 3 attorneys involved. We're having to do some pretty high level work here, and we've had to work with some serious personalities, right? There's a lot of type A leaders involved here. And whenever we see something that doesn't make sense, we have to raise our hand and say, hey, look, that has to be handled. And sometimes being handled means that someone's feelings get hurt or someone feels like we're attacking them. But the truth is, we're just looking to protect the company. So we've had to make some significant adjustments in the ownership structure of the company, who's reporting to who's responsible for what. I mean, there's been some significant changes that have happened just in the last 3 weeks even. So not an easy job at all, right?
No, but I can say it for myself and for the rest of us. We appreciate you and your team and all the work and effort that y'all put into it.
Thank you. Yeah. And when you hear outlandish things or when people say stuff that doesn't make sense, just know there's people behind the scenes that are listening to all of that. And whenever we hear something that doesn't make sense, you can be rest assured there's a whole group of people that are trying to figure out, let's get to the bottom line, truth, make corrections, pivots, tell people they're not allowed to do or say something. And that we've taken on a lot of that. And it's painful, right? We have to be pretty thick-skinned to do this job that we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Barry, would you like to say something?
Yeah, Yeah, I would just add that, I mean, I know there are questions where people say, well, what's the smart contract address? Of course, we know we're dealing with another structure with where the coins and where the registrations take place, and that those coins are actually on the blockchain. But smart contracts and stuff to that nature, where people are able to actually exchange currently on that platform, don't allow you to swap trade or anything like that. The fact is that this has to get on chain where actually big, large custodians actually will also, in addition, have to audit everything again and go through their approval processes as well. When you're building, this is building a multi billion-dollar operation. And again, from this standpoint, we want to see where there is a queue of lots of assets in the queue, things that we're reviewing, but it takes time. It doesn't take one day. You have to assess it. You have to figure out if that's the real title owner. You have to have it, compliance checked. It takes time to go through. If you're dealing with 10 different submissions, that one submission doesn't happen in 24 hours. It could take weeks or months to finalize a specific asset type.
Hey,
of
Gary,
class,
let me
whether
give
it
them
be
an example. Let me give them a good example
yeah.
so they can understand. So we were told
Mhm.
that there was a gold mine that was going to be a big piece of the assets that would be backed. And so when we asked for a report on the gold mine, it was literally 2 inches thick in a physical binder, right? And so then we had to go through the state regulatory authorities. We had to do a physical site inspection. We had to go look at the history of it. We had to read all the claims that were being made. And by the time it was all said and done, you're talking about over 80 hours of due diligence to finally say, hey, that's not a good asset for us. And so that's one asset that we looked at, and we've looked at a lot of them. So just know that a lot of times, especially when someone talks about a gold mine, very often these gold mines are old school. Here's a binder with the history of the ownership, and here's a binder with all the records. And it's not like today's technology where you can just pull it up online and see everything you want to see. Someone holds a piece of a document somewhere, and we had to go track the document down and physically go get it and then read it. Just imagine doing that dozens of times. That's the kind of work that we have to do. So when someone makes a claim, we want to be able to back it up. And if we can't back it up, then we got to pivot and move on to the next asset.
Yeah. Yeah. And some assets, it's again, you're looking for the best asset class that has the least amount of work, effort, or time or money. If you are dealing with a gold mine that's not in operation, that means you may have to put that into operation because it doesn't have any physical gold yet. We have to turn it into making physical gold and things of that nature. So if we can find the assets that are external, they're already in vaults. Those are much easier to work with. If we're working with these additional assets where we've got documentation like 43101s, those are actual documentation and instruments that are done by qualified personnel that have the background and the technology to be able to assess what a value of a property is by sampling and all these types of skill sets that they have. But from that standpoint, then we have to take it to the next level, and that is to see about putting it on the books to see if we can get lines of credit and do different aspects of financial markets, or the markets that we can take that instrument and actually create capital with it.
Do you mind, Gary, if I tell them about what we did today as an example?
Sure.
So today, our team completed many weeks, months of due diligence on a particular real estate property, and that particular real estate property, we went into escrow to buy it, and the GGMC team that's been buying equity in a collaborated syndicated effort with us is also going to own a piece of it through the micro venture capital fund. So we just increased the value of the micro venture capital fund today by $31 million, and all of the people involved in it through GGMC see that that's a real world asset. You're talking about a piece of real estate that had an appraisal, valuation added to it, and literally Gary and I worked with our team, so our internal team, and we acquired this property. Right? We did that today, like literally at 11:30 this morning. So, and that was literally me and Gary on the phone with the escrow company, wiring money, signing contracts. our due diligence team physically at the site, making sure everything's transitioning properly. I mean, those are the kinds of things that we're doing on a continual basis to better the value of the enterprise.
Yeah. So that's the key right there. And then eventually, based on where people look at buying, a token or these type of things in this business model, our job is just make sure that we've got a viable vehicle that could support the future of GGG's original model, and that was a token, and helping people prosper from a token, whether it be getting lines of credit against it, leveraging the assets, whatever it may be. We're working to get the asset on chain with a substantial amount of assets behind it. We'll have to go far beyond where we're at today, eventually into the hundreds of billions of dollars in assets, if not possibly trillions of dollars in assets of cumulative totality of clients and contracts. And again, we're committed to helping throughout this entire phase. So what we also did, I don't know if you guys got the slides, but what we've done to help GGMC also work towards raising capital, not as opposed to selling the coin, but in the essence of coming into the fund, we're helping people participate in essence, a portfolio retirement plan, but at the same time have GGMC, if they want to provide the leverage of giving away those coins on the back end. For basically for free. So they're coming into a portfolio with us, and they get to participate in 31 enterprises, including the GGMC Corp, instead of just the token itself. So this is on a limited opportunity on units.
Too, Gary, if you'd like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So we made a decision about 3 weeks ago that our microventure capital fund should start investing capital into the parent company. So that we could help capitalize GGMC with traditional capital right through our fund. And as the GGMC and GGC investor network hears about the microventure cap fund, whenever they decide to engage with us, we put a significant portion of their investment into our overall fund right back into GGMC, which is a not something that's normally done. So we have a really balanced portfolio with 31 different investments we've made. We added GGMC as part of our portfolio. So we're investing back into GGMC so it has the capital to do the things it needs to do, like its own cost of due diligence, even the legal cost, the cost of getting on chain, the cost of the database management, the cost of everything that it takes to build an academy program. We recognize that needs to be done. And that's part of the reason why we opened up an opportunity for GGMC folks to invest into our fund, because we're so focused on getting the GGMC parent company solid. That's about all I got for you, Gary. Don, you need anything else from me?
So, Gary, you did ask about that slide, and we have been showing that slide. I did not know you wanted it on here tonight, but I do want. I wanted everyone to know that we've continued the program that y'all offered at the show. We extended it, and I will on Thursday night put that back up there. I apologize. I didn't know you wanted it up there tonight, but Thursday night I'm going to have it back up, and we're going to discuss it and show everybody so they can see it again and get involved.
And I will share this with you. We also voted on the fact that we would keep, the valuation of our fund on the units has almost nearly doubled. But we ended up agreeing to keep the price of the units that we have at $31,250. We're going to keep it the same for the network until we have sold out 180 units.
That's right.
I believe we've agreed to that.
That's right. And originally we had closed that out yesterday, Tuesday. The reason we extended is because when we were at the show a week ago, Saturday, there was 123 people that registered to buy units. And out of those 123, 61 had told us they'd give us a commitment of how many units they were going to buy. But what happened was over the course of the next few days, some people need a month or two to move their money around. Some people are doing it through a self-directed IRA. Some people went back and their spouse said, hey, instead of 4 units, we're going to buy 2 units. So we adjusted a bit. And as we adjusted, we thought, you know what, let's just keep this open until all 180 units that were allocated for the GGMC network. So it will close as soon as there's 180 sold. As of this morning, there were 44 sold and there were another 100 that were committed but not yet closed. So what matters to us is what actually closes. So when someone signs a letter of intent or they send us a confirmation of their commitment, that's nice and it's good to have, but it doesn't mean until 180 units are actually sold. So just know we're going to send out a notification as soon as all 180 are sold, because then the deal is closed for sure. So we're just going to keep it open until 180 are closed. First come, first serve.
You bet.
Do you
Yep.
know how much capital gain you've raised for GGMC? Do you have a
Well,
number?
44 units times 31,250. I'll do the mathematics for you while we're on the phone here.
Okay.
1.375 million.
Okay. Okay.
The
Well,
goal,
we're
by the
getting
way,
there,
was
right?
5 million. So we're continuing till 5 million, right? Want to sell
Yep.
180 units at 31, so that there's plenty of capital for the company.
We will, on Thursday night, I'm going to go back through over those slides that I have of that and show everybody again. I did not show them the other night because I wasn't aware that we were still doing it. So
Now you
I
know
will.
it's, we're going to keep it open until we close.
Okay. I got
I know it sounds
Yeah.
I
funny
got
to
it.
say it that way, but that's how it is.
I
Yeah. All right.
understand.
Well, very
Everybody should
good.
take advantage. I appreciate both y'all coming on tonight. Appreciate your time. And this was very helpful information. These are a lot of questions that we've been getting asked. So now everybody can understand what y'all have been doing and the process that it takes, that it's not an overnight project, that it does take time, and that we appreciate everything you and your teams are doing.
Thank you very much, Don.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thanks for inviting
Thank
us.
you,
All
guys.
right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Jillian, go back to the promotion.
Out where the old world planted roots, gold in the ground, truth in the proof. From real hands to a digital flame, a future built on a solid name. Not just numbers, not just code, it is real value on a brand new road. A bridge from history into today, ownership clear every step of the way. This is more than watching from the side. This is your moment, step inside. We stand with global gold coin, feel the rise. Real world assets under open skies. Education first, freedom in the frame. We carry the weight, we carry the name. Gold rush to freedom, gold rush to freedom. Open the door, take your place, create your wallet, join the space. They hand you 100 just to begin, a gift of belief, a welcome in. Not hype, not noise, something real, a system built so everyone can feel. From metal to token, value made clear, a future you can actually steer. This is access, this is trust, from the ground up, built for us. We stand with global gold coin, feel the rise. Take the gold and braid the chain.